Welcome in, race fans, with another night of All-American Racing League. This is the Truckers Feed America series presented to you by Top Sail Trucking, as always, all season long. And we are at Atlanta Motor Speedway with the Next Gen Cup cars. This is the third week of this series, I believe, before we go into a bye week next week. Let's go ahead and take a look at that schedule just to be sure. Yeah, we did Daytona, obviously, was the opener on August 10th. Last week we were at Chicagoland. That was a pretty clean race. I think, Ben, you were there with me last week for Chicagoland, right?
No, I was not there for that particular race.
Alrighty, well, he is here tonight, August 24th, at Atlanta. We're going to do 100 laps. And then these guys are off next week, August 31st. But September 7th, we're going to kick back with these guys 30 laps around Road America, which I did a truck race with these guys 2 Sundays ago at Road America. So these guys, Next Gen, obviously going to be a little different than the trucks, Ben, but these guys really getting focused on the road courses, trying to get better each and every week. So I'm looking forward to that Road America race.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun, Faded.
Now, I have yet to see, I'm sure there's been some officials, of course, I think, but I'm not an A-class driver, but I've yet to call a league with the Next Gens at the road courses. I'm not sure if you have any experience with those.
I do have a little bit of experience with the car. I don't have a ton of it. I don't think I've ever driven one on a road course.
Sure.
So I'm not sure if they're better or worse than the previous cars, but I guess we'll find out next week, or the week after that.
Yeah, the week after that for sure. So that'll be an interesting take on September 7th. I'm looking forward to that. The following week, we're going to be doing the Charlotte All-Star Race at night under the lights, 50 laps. That's going to be really, really good. After the All-Star Race, September 21st, we're at Darlington for 100 laps before going into another bye week on September 28th. Picking up the action back in October on the 5th, we're going to be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with 60 laps there. October 12th is Dover, and October 19th is going to be Homestead, Miami, 100 laps there before we go into playoffs round 1, which if it's anything like last week and what a lot of other leagues are doing, Ben, is the round of 12, right? You got 12 drivers that come in after we'll do 3 races with that. Before heading into round 2, where we will have 8 drivers, and then we go into the championship race with 4 drivers in contention, and these guys have chosen a banger for their championship race, Nashville Super Speedway.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's a tricky track to get around at times, and definitely will be a fun time for a finale.
Yeah, so I'm super I'm just excited about the entire season, but definitely a few gems in there for me. As I said, the road course, I think for you too, Ben, everybody's kind of looking forward to seeing how these next-gen cars react on that. The 54 Chevrolet of Jason Arson so far with the fastest lap with a 30.00. So he's coming in with the top spot in the practice session. We will be having qualifying here in about 11 minutes. So all you guys that came in early, we appreciate you guys. We're about 10 minutes out from qualifying. We'll take a look at some of these cars, but if you guys need to get up, take care of any last minute things, now's the time to do so. So yesterday, a bit of a surprise, Ben. We did that 167-lap race at Texas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we were putting in some overtime last night, but, at the end of the race, you could kind of tell we were both kind of lifted at the end of that race. It was getting really excited, ending on a green-white checkered flag. Of course, that was with Liberty Racing League, where you can see those guys live here on Faded TV every Monday night. Hopefully, Ben, availability opens up. We can start getting him into some more races with those guys. Super happy to have him here tonight with All-American Racing League. Ben, you watched these guys last season when I first started broadcasting for them, middle of the season. And then obviously for the most part. I know you missed some streams here and there, like everybody, but you've caught a lot of races here this season with these guys. What do you think about All-American Racing League so far?
Yeah, I think we've got a great season going so far. Some really clean racing. I think tonight's going to be a great night. We have a lot of really strong drivers out here. We have Chad Snyder, Joshua Hedrick, David Larfano, Caden Tufts. All these guys we're very familiar with. And so we're going to see what they can do tonight to take it home.
Yeah, and of course we have another member of Faded TV involved tonight. Joshua Grosso is doing race control for these guys. He was off last week, had a family vacation up to the Wisconsin Dells, so we got to respect that, IRL stuff like that. But he's back with us here tonight doing race control for All-American Racing League, so we wish Josh good luck tonight on that, and have a successful night. Race control, probably not an easy thing to do, Ben. There's a lot of pressure on one guy to make sure that he's making the right calls.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be extra pressure on him tonight. This is a very, very fast track and some very quick cars, so we might see a little bit of extra action and a little bit of extra work there for Mr. Grosso.
We saw a John Higgins Jr. in the 19 Chevrolet. I love that Triple J Racing Camaro that he's got, the white and blue with the yellow numbers and the red wheels. Very good color combination. John Higgins looking pretty good tonight with a practice time so far inside the top 10, right there in that 9th position with David Larfano hot on his heels.
Yeah, and just a little side note with Jason at the first place spot right now. I don't know, have you ever seen a 30.000 ever in iRacing?
Yeah, how it doesn't happen very often, usually a 29.97 or a 30.02, somewhere around there, which Mark Snyder has here tonight with that 30.02. So, that is a good note there. Jason, maybe using a little bit of extra software there. He's got it plugged in to just be running these. Now, his last lap, 30.32. It's also going to be a little deceiving as well. Sometimes these times that we see in practice aren't going to reflect to qualifying because, of course, Ben, these guys are out there on the track at the same time. Drafting has a lot to do. I'd like to see some average lap times. Unfortunately, iRacing live timing doesn't show me that. I don't know if you can pull that up in the iRacing part of things to get his average lap time. But right now, yeah, like you said, the best of 30.00.
Yeah, we will definitely see some increases, I'm sure, in speed in the actual race itself when you bring drafting into it, because this is a very draft-heavy track. For several laps when these guys have fresh tires, they're just going to be going flat out. So that means they're going to be taking as much of an advantage as they can off of those straights as they pull up to the cars in front of them.
Here is Tyrone Yo Jr. in the 02 car. He's got that green and white paint scheme with the green wheels. A driver that we talked about last week, really making his climb known. Tyrone usually being a back of the pack guy, not because he was slow, but he just didn't want to ruin anybody's race. He kept it really clean last season, but this season he has just done a phenomenal job here at All-American Racing League. I won't have the points until next season for everybody, but he's running top 5 in the practice session right now. A 30.24 is his best lap, or his last lap, excuse me, a 30.24. But sitting P5 right now, and in the super late models on Thursdays, he's been doing a phenomenal job as well. So Tyrone, definitely a driver that we're going to keep our eye on tonight and see if he can continue that momentum here tonight.
Yeah, it looks like his times are pretty good and consistent across the board, averaging in those low 30s. He's also putting in a lot of laps here in practice to really get himself settled in for the race. He's already put in 27 practice laps. So I think we'll see him being pretty comfortable sitting in that P5. We'll see how he does in qualifying and see how he does in the race tonight.
Now, new to this season, but not new to All-American Racing League, is that 00 car of Johnny May. He's been dealing with a lot of IRL race car stuff. He ran a lot last season in the Cup Series and in the Tour mods, making his debut in the next-gen cars. And he's got a very, very nice paint scheme there. That black with that dark silver, dark gray. You'll see the trademark LCJ Designs, LJC, excuse me. That's Louis Clark. That's his designs. If you guys that are watching ever need a paint scheme, he does have a Facebook page. You can look him up at LJC Designs. He does a lot of the paint schemes for these guys in All-American Racing League. As we see some banter out of the track, Johnny May's going to get totally destroyed. Oh, my goodness. So a little bit of a welcome back gift for that 00 car of Johnny May. These guys are glad to have him back. David Hara in his blue-gray plastic fab number 15. He's been rocking with that sponsor since late last season. They came on board with him for the entirety of the Next Gen Cup Series. I know David, very proud of that sponsorship that he has. And from what I have understood with talking with him, they've been a really great supportive sponsor. So, shout out to guys like that, Ben, that have IRL businesses that see the worth in sponsoring sim racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's thanks to them we're able to put on a lot of these leagues. It's thanks to them that some of these leagues are able to have certain prizes. And, there's a lot of value in sim racing, and we enjoy calling it. We enjoy racing it, and it's a growing community.
Larry Garrence, his teammate. You see that LJC stripe on the back right there below the tail. Well, not the tail lights, but where they would be, right? So he's got a sponsor all season as well. He's part of Hillbilly Motorsports, along with David Lerfano in his Lucky Dog Detailing. So these guys going to be looking to work together. We do have a lot of teams here this season. If we go to the team points right now, I think they're a little jacked up. We'll wait till next week to go over the points with everything. But we have JB Motorsports, Hillbilly Motorsports, Triple J Racing, JLC Motorsports. Of course, that's consisting of some part-time drivers. Louis Clark, the owner and designer at JLC Designs. Caden Tufts, who's always making a name for himself any race that he is involved in, whether it's Tour Mod, Super Lates, Cup Cars. He'd probably go win a tractor pull if you put him in it. Dark Horse Motorsports after that. Beer Brothers Racing, Assault Motorsports, and of course Faded Motorsports as well. So we have a total of 8 teams in this series, which I love, Ben. I love watching these drivers dedicated to helping each other out. I think it kind of adds to maybe building some friendly rivals on the track there. But makes for some good action because nobody's really ever out there by themselves. We're not going to see a car come down pit road and then get completely obliterated, exiting pit road by himself. He's always going to have that teammate with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a track like this tonight, the teammates are definitely going to play a role to help each other draft when they need to close gaps. And so I think that's another place that the teamwork will come in handy.
Now, I believe Caden Tufts is going to be racing with us tonight. If we go back to the night of the Daytona, the season opener for these guys, Caden Tufts and his teammate Louis Clark were running P1 and P2, and then disaster struck. Casey Picala got a little loose out of pit road, was in the middle of the track. He tried going into reverse and coming down. Unfortunately, I think he had some issues with his relative because he ended up coming down right in front of the leader at the time, Louis Clark or Caden Tufts. Caden not putting his quick repair on. He had it unchecked. Ooh. And therefore came down pit road with a blown motor. He was out. Now his teammate Louis Clark in that race was able to come down pit road, use his quick repair, ended up finishing that Daytona P2. Last week, Caden was out, so he joins us here again tonight here at Atlanta, and I think, Ben, he's going to have a real chip on his shoulder considering what happened at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, that's an absolutely heartbreaking finish to a race, and for Caden, with how quick he is, I think he's going to take it out on these drivers tonight, and I think he's going to move up the leaderboards very quickly.
Yeah, now we'll see. His best lap, a 30.37, puts him outside of the top 10. He's sitting there with Patrick McQuaid tied for the 12th fastest time into the practice session here. So he might have a little bit of work to do before we get to that point. But like I said, and like you said, Caden Tufts, he's going to be able to figure it out. Whether he starts towards the back or the middle of the field, I'm sure he'll figure out Atlanta, and he'll be up there relatively quickly. Now, with that being said, Ben, we're going to close the practice session for the night. We are in qualifying right now, and we are going to take a ride with this 88 car of Caden Tufts.
Yeah, let's see what he can throw down here and see if he can improve on that practice best.
Alrighty, we will get the NASCAR tower up out of the left-hand side of your screen so you guys can be able to keep up with all the qualifying times. I'm going to take just a momentary break here, Ben. Just a few seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, not a problem. So we're here with Caden Tufts now. Here he's on his out lap, so we'll see what kind of time he can put down here. A 30.372 was his best in the practice session tonight. Unfortunately, he's going to come across the line with a 30.768. Early results are coming in that a 30.609 is the quickest time so far. So Caden Tufts down almost 2/10. We'll see what he can do in a second lap here.
Have you gotten a chance to look at the stream, Ben? How do you think that aspect ratio looks?
Everything looks totally normal to me, Faded. Everything looks great.
Good. So we will stick with that. The true 16:9. No chopping it down from the 2560 by 1080. So I like that look, and I appreciate your help with that, buddy.
Absolutely not a problem.
So we talk about him. Obviously, he was last season's champion, David Lurfano. You pull up my iRacing live timing here, presented by SDK Software. It looks like right now, as we see Caden Tufts doing some donuts, Joshua Hetrick was able to get up front there in qualifying. David Lurfano, though, P2. Now, David, at the end of the race, always seems to be right there in the thick of things, either contending for first place or podiums or top fives, but he hasn't been a really good qualifier. And as we see here tonight, he's starting P2, so he's going to start with that opportunity right off the rip.
Yeah, absolutely. He could get out front really quickly, but we do have to keep in mind this is a long race, so we may not see qualifying play as much of a role as we didn't see it play a role last night. We had a lot of people coming from way back in the grid to come up to the top five, so we'll see how that plays into effect tonight.
The 59 of Fred Houle, part of Beer Brother Racing, making, I think, his debut in the Cup Series as well. He does a lot of the short track stuff with these guys at All-American Racing League. He hosted the Tour Mods last year, put together that super late model series this season. Unfortunately, we had to back out here at Faded TV of calling that, but Fred Houle returning here tonight in the Cup Series. So we wish him all the luck in the world, as well as he's a bit of a part-time driver as well. With these part-time drivers, you just always wish they have a good night. I mean, they really need them for points-wise as well, but it's tough when you're a part-time driver for everybody around, Ben, because they don't get to know you around the track as much as some of these other guys. And of course, even if you have a good night this week and if you're off next week, do the points really matter? I mean, it gets a little tricky with these part-time guys, but it is nice when they do make a race.
Yeah, I mean, I run part-time in a couple different leagues, and that's exactly how it is. You're just not really super comfortable with everybody else that you're always racing with. And, yeah, of course, the points make a big difference, but to a lot of the part-time guys, they just want to have a couple good finishes in the season. So that's why you got to root for them.
Alrighty, and I think Jim Ott, who we were just watching, who's going to default back down pit road, was the last driver that we needed to complete qualifying. So it looks like these times are going to stick. Joshua Hetrick, P1, David Lurfano on his outside of row 1 in P2, Jim Ott in 3rd, John Higgins going to be 4th, Mark Snyder 5th, David Hara 6th, Chad Snyder 7th, Caden Tufts in that top 10. He was 13th in practice. Jason Arson 9th, and Casey Pacala looking for some redemption as well after that Daytona mistake. Of course, I'm not going to beat him up on that all night, but a nice qualifying time here, P10. He's definitely looking for some redemption.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pretty excited to see what happens here. We got a lot of good drivers, a lot of good stories to tell. Let's have some fun.
On the outside of the top 10 looking in is that driver that we're going to keep watching throughout the season, Tyrone Yo Jr. in 11th, Charlie Dickey in that 37 Chevrolet in P12. Behind him in the 20 is going to be Larry Garnes, Patrick McQuaid 14th, Johnny May again making his Next Gen Cup Series debut tonight, going to be starting 15th. On the outside of him, Fred Houle, Brian Ludlow going to be at the end of the field in his 150 Ford. I like those triple-digit numbers, kind of a throwback to the old-school race cars. But he's going to be Mr. Irrelevant here, starting P17.
Ooh. And it looks like we have just about everybody up on the grid now, so we should be getting started any second.
Missing a logo, so I'm trying to do some back-end production stuff here. Apologize for the silence here. Let's get a good look at Joshua Hetrick. We'll get in the TV cam as we'll do some outlaps. You guys see them out there on the track. And that'll give me some time to take care of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just as we're about to get started here, David Lurfano looks like he's having some very serious blinking issues with his internet connection. He is in and out constantly, so hopefully he can figure that out. Also, we have an incident already off the start. The number 4 car spinning out, taking out the driver in the other row.
Now, that does remind me, I've already told the drivers here at All-American Racing League, my co-caster Ben, I'll let everybody at home know too, we have a huge storm rolling in here, northern Illinois. I'm right here up by Chicago. We have a huge storm rolling in. We've had our power flicker in and out. So if the broadcast does end abruptly, just know that that's due to weather by me. And if that does happen, I do apologize. Of course, if the power comes back on, we'll try to pick back up the race, but unlikely that would happen. So just letting you guys know it's okay right now. It's been good for the last 20 minutes or so I'm hoping. Now let's go back and take a look at that. I was putting together my overlay, but it looks like Jim Ott, David Hara, Mark Snyder, Caden Tufts. What's going on up here?
Yeah, it looks like the number 4 car just got a little bit loose for some reason, spun the wheels starting his car, and went right off. If we see the replay right now.
Oof. Oh, man, and that's some big front end damage for David Hara in the 15. I mean, it didn't look like it was a big lick until you see the front end of David Hara, and that's actually pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, we are under green flag racing here. We got Joshua Hetrick and David Lurfano battling it out at the front.
Yeah, that 25 car of Joshua Hetrick on the inside of David Lurfano in that Lucky Dog Detail and 8 car, and the 19 behind him, that's John Higgins Jr. I'm waiting for some things to update here. It's still showing me It's showing me Jim Ott, the race leader. That's obviously not true, but looks like it's David Lurfano.
Yes, David Lurfano is the race leader, and Joshua Hetrick is right there next to him, 0.1 off with the gap.
We'll have to see how that front end damage plays out in that 15 car. Atlanta not necessarily being, that would be crucial at Daytona. In fact, at Daytona or Talladega, we might have even seen David Hara being forced down pit road almost to use that quick repair. But he might be okay here at Atlanta because, you're not pedal to the metal the whole way through here. It's not a 2.5 mile track. So he's out there. He's going to see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for him. It may cost him some crucial seconds, though, coming through the straights. We'll have to see how that works out.
Hayden Tufts in the 88 car already making his way through the field. Started P8. He finds himself in that 4th spot behind the 25 car of Joshua Hetrick, of course. Him being sponsored by Orr Lawn Care this season. That was a great pickup by Joshua Hetrick. David Lurfano still leading the race. John Higgins Jr. behind him.
Yeah, David Hara making moves here again as he comes on the inside to Joshua Hetrick, trying to make the pass.
You called it, Ben. Wasn't going to take long for that 88 car to move his way up front. And that's what he's been able to do. I think, is that Tyrone Yo kind of losing pace? Yes, it is. He got kicked out of the racing line. Not too sure what happened there. The 37 car of Charlie Dickey and that 77 of Patrick McQuaid. Looks like he's running a new paint scheme this week. It's still Muffler Man, but changed it up a little bit. That looks really nice. And that is the battle for 10th with that faded TV 37 car of Charlie Dickey gatekeeping that 10th spot. Jason Arson in front of him. Mark Snyder, P8. Casey Bacala up 3 spots in 7th. He's in that 41 car on the inside of Jim Ott. Jim Ott's got to feel like a little bit of a tool after that one. That's definitely not how you want to start a race, spinning the tires. But it's certainly something that can happen. I mean, we don't know what was going on. He might have been trying to sit down in his rig and just got a little too excited there.
Yeah, it absolutely can happen, but unfortunately, it can take a little bit of a knock out of your confidence just getting started that way. So we'll see if he's able to pick it back up, and we're going to see a battle for first place here.
Yeah, last season's champion, David Lurfano, winner of the Daytona 500, right now has his hands full with that 88 car of Caden Tufts on the outside.
And look at how fast Caden Tufts is on that outside line.
Joshua Hetrick following that 88 on the outside. He's trying to get a run now as Caden Tufts does complete the pass on David Lurfano. We'll see if that high line continues to prosper. It looks like it's going to as the 25 car drives past David Lurfano for the moment. So it looks like Ben David Hara's just he's gonna be just fine in that 15 car. My question is, he's obviously comfortable right now in 3rd. He could probably still hold on to that quick repair. His first green or his first pit stop. It doesn't look like it's really affected that front end that much.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing just fine out there. He can definitely wait for his first pit to make that repair, and then hopefully he can run clean for the rest of the race and not have to worry about it.
On the back end of that, it looks like we've had an incident with Fred Houle. We're going to go back and take a look at this, what just happened there, or maybe we're not. Usually when something like that happens, it just means he was off track. iRacing live timing, not going to pick up on that. So that's good news.
And at the front here, we're starting to see Joshua Hetrick and Caden Tufts start to make a gap for themselves. They have a half-second lead over the rest of the pack. Oh, and we got some carnage. I believe that is going to bring out a yellow flag. Yes, it is. Not sure with who that involved, but it looked like the middle of the pack, and it looked like a serious incident.
Yeah, it looks like Casey Bacala, the first car to come up in red here. So that'll be who we focus on here in the replay. He's in that 41 car. It looks like John Higgins just getting into the wall there, bouncing down into the 77. Carnage ensues, that 41 car. Looks like he's going to have to get a tow to pit road. That car is just absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, it looks like about 6 drivers got taken out there. You hate to see that. And we're definitely going to see some tows and some lap down drivers now.
If for whatever crazy reason you're watching this broadcast in VR, I do apologize. But the chances of that are very unlikely. But anytime we get a car that flips up into the air like that, I like to immediately get into the cockpit view so we can show you guys what Casey saw on that. That was a pretty big one.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely a large crash. And we do have several cars pitting out here to start the race after that first incident.
Yeah, and of course, I think David Harris is going to be one of those, I would assume, down pit road. Yes, he is. He might not want to pit right now, but like you said, Ben, with that front end damage, as soon as that caution comes out, you got to come down, get that fast repair, make sure that you are good to go for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and with that many other cars coming into the pit lane, you might as well just take it. You're going to stay on the lead lap. You can get that quick repair. Not a big deal.
Yeah, it looks like Joshua Hetrick, David Lurfano III, choosing to stay out. Chad Snyder, I think, as well. Larry Garn's going to be the big winner of this caution, up 9 spots, finds himself into the top 5, sitting P4. Caden Tufts, who was in second place, came down pit road. He's going to be restarting this in 5th. And Joshua, I mean, he waited a little bit there, but once he got that race lead, I mean, he was really starting to pull away there.
Yeah, both of them were really starting to pick up some pace at the front. They were starting to make a gap for themselves, helping each other out, just widening that gap as much as they could. But unfortunately, a caution is going to reset pretty much everything here, and they're going to have to do it all over again.
Alrighty, so our first caution of the night here in Atlanta, and unfortunately it was just a car getting a little too high off of a corner, smacks the wall. After that, nothing they could do, comes down onto the rest of the field. The 41 car of Casey Bacala really getting the worst end of the deal, but a few cars having to come down pit road and use their quick repair. Another night, Ben, where we see early on in the race these guys. Now, I think with this league, they do have 2. So,
okay.
Yeah, they'll be able to brush that off. They have 1 in their pocket left, so it's not panic mode right now. But anytime you have to use a quick repair, it's never a good thing.
Absolutely, and hopefully they don't need many more of them tonight. I'm looking forward to some green flag racing here. Last night's race, we started out with several cautions. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of that here. And once they got together last night, they were able to run about 150 laps clean, and I think that these guys can run several laps clean themselves.
Yeah, 100%. These Cup guys on Mondays and Tuesdays, some of the best that I call for, most certainly. All-American Racing League, we've talked about it in previous races, but it's important to note these guys are real tight community, racing different series with each other on different nights. They're very, I don't want to say strict, but relatively tight as far as inviting new drivers in. You really got to, be one of the guys. They got to like how you race. They got to like your personality. They don't just let anybody join All-American Racing League. And it's not because they think they're better than anybody, but Ben, like you said, they just want to put on quality racing.
Yeah, and I think that's important, especially when you have a field size that is this large. If you can get that of all the best guys that's perfect. A lot of different leagues can't fill a field this large. So if you can fill the field and it's guys that are good and good personalities on them, then that's a great bonus to the league.
Yeah, unlike the broadcast booth where we're just, we're really bland. We don't really like each other up here. Just can't wait to get through the broadcast so that we can quit talking to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. You should read the DMs between us during the broadcast.
So the wife with an update in the chat, Paul Malone, storm looks as if it's passed. So that's good news. The wife on top of the weather, and we are on top of the green flag drop with Joshua Hetrick coming out.
Another yellow flag immediately.
Oh. And Hetrick was just getting ready to have a commanding lead. It looks like Casey Bacala, Johnny May, Charlie Dickey, all involved here. So this is no bueno. Nothing worse than back-to-back cautions before you can get into turn one. Let's take a look here at Johnny May. He's the first name that pops up. This might be after. Okay, it looks like this might just be. Oh, I don't know what happened with Johnny there. Unfortunately, you see some damage on his side. Charlie Dickey as well.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, I'll try to get a good look here, but I don't think anybody's really heavily involved here. I think these guys were. They just had a lot of space between them on this green flag. Or am I missing it?
I'm not exactly too sure. I mean, it did involve multiple cars.
Yeah, that was the last caution. I do apologize for you guys at home.
Okay. So it looked like a single car incident to me.
Okay. Well, the one thing I can do is use the iRacing rewind here. Well, this was Johnny May. Okay, so Johnny May was trying to catch up to the bunch. He was coming off pit road.
Gotcha, yeah. So it looks like Johnny was uninvolved in this one. So what else happened is the real question.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am just not finding the driver involved here. We do see Caden Tufts pretty beat up after that, though, Ben. If we could try and figure out.
I'm going to take a look as well and see if I can figure out what brought out that caution.
If I can get it from Caden's perspective. And we can go back and rewind this. Let's take a look. See if we can get this as they went green. Okay, here we go. I think I got it. So green flag racing. We see, oh, it was Charlie Dickey getting on the grass a little bit there, Ben. So it was actually the 37 car getting onto the grass. That's going to make you spin out every time there. I do apologize to the chat. You guys got to understand, it's really hard sometimes to track down what happens with this iRacing live timing. I get the information sent to me in a tiny little box, and you click on said information, and it tries to capture it. Sometimes it's really, really good, and sometimes we're having to actually use the iRacing rewind. So I do apologize that took as long as it did. But really glad that we could figure it out there. So Charlie Dickey in the 37 car on that restart, his front left tire getting into the grass. He spins out, takes Caden Tufts and a couple other drivers out there with him. And that's what happened on that.
Yeah, it looks like 4 drivers were taken out on that. So we'll see if we can regroup here and actually stay under green for a little while. I think I may have jinxed us saying that they were capable of driving green for a bit because we didn't even make it to the first corner.
Well, you know, and I agree, but in a situation like that, that is so tough and so unfortunate because it's not like he was jumping the restart. He wasn't trying to hot rod anything. It was just unfortunate that We have stock cars here that just can't drive literally on anything other than asphalt, and sometimes they can't even do that. Not the drivers, but the car.
Yeah, absolutely. You touch that grass and you are going flying, and that is a perfect example of it right there.
These cars are very unathletic, if that makes sense. They're not. They touch anything other than pavement, and that's it. It's a wrap.
Absolutely.
Back up to the front, though, we see Chad Snyder in the Rebellion graphics. He's a driver for Assault Motorsports. You see the Orr Lawn Care, his teammate in the 25 car down below. So we got two teammates up here starting 1-2. Chad Snyder was on a little bit of a cold streak. I talked to him about that privately. He was getting really frustrated, and it really started in the playoffs, or the championship race of last season. He was down to the top 4 going into the championship race, had a really bad showing there. It continued with this season and the next gens, but it looks like he's been picking it up with the trucks, and now he's having a really good start here in that number 5 car. So nothing but love for Chad Snyder out there as he is trying to put that funk behind him and get on a roll.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job here so far tonight, and we're about to go under green flag yet again.
Yeah, Joshua Hedrick with another impressive start there. He's going to dive into turn 1. Still the race leader, uncontended, as David Lurfano on the inside of Chad Snyder for P2. Patrick McQuaid in the 77, him too. Why not?
And what a jump by Joshua Hedrick to get out front there with a 0.4 second lead right off the bat.
Patrick McQuaid, a driver that hopped on board with All-American Racing League in the middle of last season. In the races that he was able to make, was a very impressive driver, very fast. And a lot of drivers came into this season with that 77 car on their radar as a guy who could compete for a championship here, and he finds himself out front here behind Josh early at Atlanta.
Yeah, and we're seeing a good battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th here. As we see, I'm having trouble making out which car that is coming up the inside. Looks like the number 5 car to take out the number 8 car there and take the lead there.
Yeah, Chad Snyder on the rebound here. Didn't have the restart that he wanted on the last green flag, but he's certainly making up for it right now as he does ride that inside line with teammate Joshua Hedrick. Let's see if they can get something going. But right now, Patrick McQuaid on the high line, checking down now. Going to be taking over this race as the 25 and the 8 car looks like they do touch momentarily. As we're almost 3 wide there coming across that front stretch.
We were. They got a little close for comfort there. Do think they may have had a little love tap. But the speeds they're going, that's not going to slow them down much.
And Joshua Hedrick, Ben, we see losing pace and losing it fast, but I think that was expected. He was one of those cars that opted to stay out, and so some of these drivers like Patrick, David Hara, all choosing to come down pit road a little bit early, I'm assuming probably took tires because they are just out by themselves right now in that top 3.
Yeah, they're not really having anybody try to fight them for it. As we almost see David Hara go into the backside of Patrick McQuaid. And looks like they're just absolutely flying out front now.
Yeah, David Hara contending for the lead on the inside. That's the 15 car. He's got teammate David Lurfano backing him up on that inside line. Patrick McQuaid up there all by himself momentarily, but here comes the 25 on the outside trying to make a pushback up towards the lead. We see the 88 of Caden Tufts in the blue and black car joining in on the mix on the inside, and Casey Picala, the guy that went for a little spin, now back up towards the front.
Yeah, we got everybody grouped back up again. I think we're going to see some good racing here and hopefully some clean racing. As we see David Lurfano again on that inside line, continuing to battle for that second position.
Yeah, and he's got Caden Tufts all over his back bumper. Patrick McQuaid trying to stick with the side draft there, trying to do everything he can to keep pace, but he's going to fall off. We'll see if he dips down low and joins. It looks like he does, and we're going to go 3 wide on the backstretch.
And who's going to come out with it? I think it's going to be the 77 car taking that inside line. Looks like he's going to fall into P2 here, Patrick McQuaid.
Yeah, what an impressive move there. It looks like he might have even lifted just a little bit to be able to dive down into the inside line. Kind of a switcheroo there. Something that most certainly paid off as he now is looking to get back to the lead. He's only got that 15 car of David Hara in his way. David's going to check up, get in front of that 77 car.
Yeah, Patrick McQuaid's going to have a good draft on David Hara on those straights. He's going to be able to close that gap. It just depends how good David Hara can be to defend.
Caden Tufts with a rough start involved I believe, in 2 wrecks so far. The first one being with Jim Ott, his mistake. I don't think he got too involved in there, but that second one, unfortunately, he did. He had to come down pit road, most certainly use a quick repair, but well worth it as his Ford Mustang is sitting in P3.
Yeah, Caden doing a really good job. I mean, he's coming in with the highest I rating here in the league. He's got something to prove to back up that 4.4K I rating. Not to out him or anything here, but so I think he's probably got a lot of speed in that car, and I think he's going to be able to make a move pretty soon on that front two.
Yeah, Caden might be in a little bit of a rut, because last time I talked to him, he had almost 5K I rating, so definitely slipping just a little bit down to a 4.4 I rating, so he's going through a little bit of a funk, I'd say. Of course, Caden, I'm just kidding when you go back and watch this replay. This is the battle for 8th. Yeah, right now, too, back in 8th and 9th.
Oh, and he spins him. Oh, my gosh, he just spinned him right off the front line.
Oh, Caden Tuff's involved in another one.
Oh, Caden Tuff's just absolutely got launched.
And this time, we do have some pretty good info in that little box I was telling you guys about, so let's go back and take a look at the replay. Things were really starting to heat up where we were at. That's going to happen throughout the night, guys, as I try to go back and try to check this race flow with some of the other drivers. My partner and co-caster, Ben, is going to be focusing on the leader and other parts of the track as well. So good call there, Ben, to get our focus up to the front. Let's go look at Caden Tuff's here, 3 wide. Oh, David Hara maybe not liking that little bump from Caden Tuff's there. Gets into the back right corner panel. As we saw the 88 take it 3 wide there, Patrick McQuaid was on the inside. That 88 car, obviously I don't think it was intentional, but did get into the inside of that 15 of David Hara and kind of bump him up towards the track.
Yeah, I think what might have happened there is that Caden bumped him into the wall there, and then maybe on the rebound, Caden might have gotten himself taken out just because of his own initial movement there. I'd have to have a better look at it to be sure, but that was definitely a risky move. Here's the angle that I was looking for. You see, he bounces him up into the wall, and I think he just comes back down off of the wall just to try to keep himself out of it, and that ends up taking out the number 88 car.
Yeah, so some risky business up there. Atlanta providing some really, really close action here, but some fast action as well. Things happen really quickly on a track like this. And, I mean, we've been 3 wide. I think at one point we were talking about how we were 4 wide just for a split second here at Atlanta. So Atlanta being one of those tracks, Ben, that you can run the inside, the midline, and the high line and compete with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very fast track. Any of those lines are very viable. You'll see different drivers taking overtakes all throughout the night using all 3 of those lines. And that's something that you see here pretty commonly.
Yeah, now we see in our perspective only about 5 drivers out there on the track. That means everybody else coming down pit road here. I think we are a little bit too late to the action. We see the 00 car of Johnny May. He might be the last car off pit road, but a lot of people coming down pit road that time around. Of course, the drivers that didn't pit on the last caution probably coming down this time, taking 4 tires. We see that 15 car David Hara been a little bit banged up here in the early going.
Yeah, you know, he's not looking too healthy out there, but probably not enough to slow him down too much. Definitely has some damage on his car, but he seems to be keeping pace just all right.
So Patrick McQuaid not getting wrapped up into that, so his Muffler Man 77 is going to be on the inside of row 1. He's up 13 spots. Definitely a big move for him. Charlie Dickey, who was involved in that one caution, unfortunately, when we were talking about the car that touched the grass, it was this guy right here. His car's a little banged up here, too, at Atlanta. But he, right now, is up 7 spots inside the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he could have a chance to run as well. We're having kind of a reversal here at the front and a reset, and we may come out of this with some new leaders.
Yeah, and this is totally non-biased here, but if I had to pick best paint scheme tonight, it'd probably go to that 37 car.
Oh, you don't say.
Back behind him in 6 is Mark Snyder In the 21 car, Joshua Hetrick going to be restarting 7th. David Lurfano, both those guys coming down pit road. They both stuck out last caution. He's going to be in P8. Caden Tufts, who has had a tough night, no pun intended. But as you can see, I think using a quick repair, his car looks pretty good, back to normal there.
Yeah, he should be able to get himself back into this race. Just a really unfortunate incident.
If you take a look at some of these next-gen cars, Ben, right behind the front wheel, they're the front left, anyways. I don't know if it's the same on the front right, but they that undercarriage goes in underneath the car. That's a little bit weird, and we see some pockets there. I'm assuming that's for airflow and aerodynamics and things that I don't really know a whole lot about. But I'm just noticing it for the first time. That's a little bit of a strange design right there.
Yeah, definitely a different design on these cars, and I'm no expert either, but I'm going to also go with aerodynamics to add to these cars. Instead of being giant flying blocks of iron, they're trying to make them a little bit improved to give them some more grip on these tracks.
Well, thankfully, NASCAR got rid of those hood flaps a while back. That was causing a big... I don't remember what generation it was, Ben. So if you know, you'll have to remind me. But you remember when these cars, they had the roof, the hood flaps, they had like the spoiler that looked like it was like a cheap bolt-on spoiler on these cars?
Oh, yeah, yes, I do.
Yeah, and they were always going airborne because of those hood flaps. So, glad to see NASCAR getting rid of those. We're going to get back to green flag racing, though. That's the 77 car of Patrick McQuaid. A pretty good jump there, but David Hare on the outside. But I thought he was a little bit closer than that. My apologies. A huge jump for Patrick McQuaid.
Yeah, Patrick McQuaid is not messing around with those restarts. He is absolutely flying out there, immediately off to a 2/10 to 3/10 lead. And we'll see if David Hare can close it right back down on him.
Casey Bacala sitting in third. The 19 car of John Higgins in fourth. We see Charlie Dickey on the move, him and Joshua Hetrick, and it looks like we're going to collide again. Out of the back bumper of John Higgins was Joshua Hetrick, and that is a big move there. We have got to stop taking it 3 wide here at Atlanta.
Wow, this is absolute carnage here tonight. I really can't believe what we're seeing. This is not normal for this league, and it's just been the wrecks that we have had have been large and taking out a large number of cars.
Yeah, and I think the 19 car, I mean, we see the carnage here. Chad Snyder involved, Joshua Hetrick's involved, the 21 car, Johnny May and the 00. And I guess that, I mean, looking back at it now, I don't know if that was because it was 3 wide. The 37 car was pretty low on the track there, but nonetheless, when we have been 3 wide, we've seen things go a little wicked.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit early to be making those kind of moves in this race, especially with how it's going so far.
Yeah, we'll go back with this 19.
Poor Mr. Grosso is working overtime tonight, that's for
sure.
sure.
Joshua Grosso, race control tonight for us as we take a look from the chase cam there on John Higgins. Let's go back and look at the gearbox here as we'll get a good look at the 25 car. I'm not too sure if that 19 was coming up or if the 25 car was coming down there. It was really close.
Yeah, it's hard to tell even from that angle.
Yeah. So the 19 car definitely getting banged up on there. And he's still down. This is live now. This is live timing. We'll see if he is out of quick repairs because that's almost instantaneous. I think it only takes about a second for iRacing to get the quick repair done. Ben, it does not look like he is getting that quick repair done.
No, I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. As you saw the 21 car just peel out behind him, getting that full quick repair. Does not look like he has any left.
Yeah, Chad Snyder we saw the 25 in front of him in his pit box. Both those guys using their quick repairs. And unfortunately, it does look like John Higgins may be done with this race. Hey, John, it's faded up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Mr. Higgins? All righty, trying to get a word with Higgins. He might be AFK right off the rip there. Not a happy camper. I can't blame him. We see some more cars now coming down pit road.
Yeah, we may just be seeing some normal pit stops as well tied into this caution.
Yeah, that's Jason Arson in the 54 Mountain Dew. Behind him, Jim Ott.
All right, and while we're under this caution, I'm just going to leave this in the very capable hands of Faded just for a moment, and I will be right back with you.
Yeah, David Lurfano, we see him. This is live timing now. He's trying to limp back to pit road. And it looks like he did. Sorry, I meant to say that was a replay. Back up live timing. He did make it down pit road, so that's good for that number 8 car of David Lurfano. So back up front on these P1, P2, nothing's going to change there. Patrick McQuaid still on the inside. David Hare on the outside of the front row. Casey Pacala third. Johnny May up 11 spots as he's making his next-gen Cup Series debut in that 00 black and silver car. Must be a Las Vegas Raider fan, as Chris Berman used to say. The Raiders. He's going to be sitting P4. Chad Snyder, who we saw involved in that last wreck, able to use his quick repair, get out of pit road fast. He's going to be P5. Brian Ludlow, another guy on the move in his Gorilla Glue 150 Ford Mustang, up 11 spots, P6. He looks like he's been able to stay out of trouble for the most part and gain a ton of positions at Atlanta. So what is our third caution of the evening? Is going to group us back up, as it looked as if Patrick McQuaid and David Hare were going to start making a little bit of a gap for themselves. So Patrick McQuaid with another restart here. And another big restart, but as we've seen the last couple of times, these guys do catch up relatively fast on the backstretch.
Yeah, that was another strong restart for him, but yeah, we're going to see the number 41 car catch up to him pretty quickly once he catches his draft.
Yeah, good to see Chad Snyder up there, too, in that 5 car. We were just talking about how this is his redemption week here, as he's gotten some momentum in some other series this week. It made me nervous. He was involved in a pretty big wreck, but looks like he's going to be able to bounce back here, at least for now, and fight for the lead in that 5 car.
Yeah, he's right back up there, and he is definitely showing his pace right now. He's probably going to be making a move on the inside of the 77 here coming up in this next turn. And he does, and he completes that to take the lead. We have Chad Snyder in first.
Joshua Hetrick, though, on the inside.
Yeah, we're going to see Patrick McQuaid drop all the way back to 3rd place here.
Joshua, race leader here in the early goings. Definitely has the pace to take that spot back from Chad Snyder. Now, these guys are teammates, so I would assume they are going to play nice here for a little while, that 5 car and the 25.
Yeah, well, they can work together really well here if they're able to get some good stretch of green racing. You know, they can work together and give themselves a little bit of a gap, but it doesn't look like Patrick McQuaid's going to let that happen just yet.
No, Patrick McQuaid right there on the inside line, making sure that if they do build a little bit of a gap from the rest of the field, he is included. That Caden Tufts, though, getting a little bit loose. We'll see if that brings out another caution.
Another yellow.
Caden Tufts just getting involved. We kind of saw that live. It looks like Jim Ott in that 4-car, I think, from what I saw, getting into the rear end. I wonder if Jim Ott, we've seen it here so far here a couple of times, Ben, cars getting just a little bit too high off the corner exit, hitting the wall. We'll see if that's what played out. Let's go back and take a look at this. Ooh. He was actually involved in something totally separate there. Caden Tufts back into the pits.
Oh, yeah, almost.
Caden just getting loose on his own.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, just right up into the wall. Yeah, to me, that was more of just 2 single-car accidents there. Not sure we necessarily needed a caution, but either way, we are under the yellow flag here as we see a bunch of cars starting to come down pit road.
Well, it looks like the 4-car was trying to check up. He saw what was going on in front of him with Caden Tufts. Gets totally annihilated by David Lurfano. Nothing Jim Ott could do there. He was kind of stuck with... He had to check down low, obviously. He saw what was going on with the 88 car, and he was just sandwiched. He had a car in front of him. Couldn't really go anywhere. Unfortunately, that 8 car of David Lurfano not being able to react what was going on fast enough and just gets right into the back of Jim Ott.
Yeah, he really slammed him pretty hard there. We'll see if Jim Ott has an extra quick repair left, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So it looks like when the caution came out, Chad Snyder was still your race leader, still has his teammate Joshua Hetrick, P2. However, Johnny May now making his way up 12 spots into the top 3. So his debut here going really solid, sort of starting towards the back of this race, Ben, but with each caution, he's been able to keep it clean, and now he finds himself up into that top 3 here.
Yeah, May's in really good shape here. Not only does he have one of the nicest looking liveries out here tonight, he also is very, very quick around this track. I think he's gonna be right up the front when those guys, when they start their gap like usual. I think he'll be right there with them.
I'm going to have to lay off the Mountain Dews pre-race, I'll tell you what.
Those will get you.
Every single time. So having a bit of bad luck out here tonight at Atlanta. But of course, I think, this season is an experiment for everybody, Ben. I mean, the next-gen cars might be out here on iRacing, of course, but we've yet to see these guys IRL race these cars. There's not a whole lot of info on specific tracks. Jumping back onto the simulator side, it's the same case. It might feel good and really natural on one track, and it might be a little bit of a big difference on other tracks.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big difference driving these cars. They feel much more controllable, much more comfortable to drive. They do have power steering even, so it's much smoother to control the car. So there definitely are some major differences here in the next-gen cars versus the Cup cars, the Xfinities, and the trucks.
Now we see Charlie Dickey in that 37 car up 8 spots. He's in P4. He's been involved in some incidences as well, but good to see him being able to bounce back and put himself in some good track position. Tyrone Yo Jr. the same. He's up 6 spots right now, up there in P5. So we got some new drivers up here who's really been able to keep it clean, at least through the last couple of cautions. Larry Garnes as well, up 7, P6.
Absolutely, and here we go yet again. Let's hope we can keep it clean. Oh, right off into the grass to start.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody touched or anything like that, but we saw race leader Chad Snyder spin his tires a little bit, is what I'm going to assume happened there. Gets into the grass, but there was I believe Johnny May was another car, did the exact same thing there.
Yeah, we had 2 cars go into the grass there off the start. A little bit concerning, but luckily neither of them spun out or caused any trouble, so they're just going to have to work their way back up.
Oh, I hear some collision in the back. Hopefully not too much. Doesn't look like there is. So right now, Joshua Hetra taking that race lead back. But, dude, look how fast Chad Snyder has been able to bounce back on that. Oh, and Charlie Dickey going to get undercut from Patrick McQuaid. Yikes.
Back under yellow here. Unfortunate. Again, a collision.
Oh, that's unfortunate, as Charlie Dickey had just made his way. I mean, he's had a long night here, battling throughout. Hopefully he's got a fast repair left, as he's going to limp that 37 car down to pit road.
Yeah, it looks like he's missing a good chunk of that car, so hopefully he does have a quick repair available to him. That's going to be a long time to spend in pits otherwise.
Oh, looks like he was just got a little bit loose there, Ben. Nothing that 77 could really do. Certainly wasn't anything intentional. And he's lucky that race control threw that caution, because if those 2 cars weren't back there, I think that might be either... well, I'm not too sure who that was, but if those 2 cars weren't back there, race control might not have thrown that caution.
Yeah, so good thing that they did there. It kept other cars out of trouble, and hopefully he can just work his way down pit road and get back into this race.
Yeah, it looks like he does indeed still have a fast repair left, so that's good news for Charlie Dickey.
It's good to see that livery out there.
Yeah, and it's good for that Cup owner as well to see that car out there on the track. But again, nothing that 77 could do. Charlie Dickey got a little bit loose coming out of turn 2. That happens here at Atlanta. And unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to try to save it. It just happened so fast, and that 77 car got into the back end.
Yeah, that was just very unlucky, just losing his edge just a little bit there, and that's all he could do from there. There's nothing he can do to prevent the rest of the action that happened.
Now, right before we said that, Chad Snyder was making a beeline back up front, and it looks like he's going to be starting row 2 on the inside, P3. Of course, Patrick making the pass on Charlie Dickey there, going to be on that front row.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad Snyder's probably the driver to watch here. He is going to be flying as he just was as we went under caution as we resume.
Yeah, and it's kind of taken this driver a little bit after his first big incident to get back up towards the front. But David Hera in the 15 car going to be right on the outside of Chad Snyder in row 2. So he's back up to the front now after leading a little bit earlier into the race.
Yeah, we're seeing a big rotation of drivers out here. Everybody seems to be taking their turn at the lead here, and we'll see who's able to pull away with it at the end. Hopefully we can get some green flag racing for a while and have these guys actually show what they're made of.
David Lerfano, after starting P2, getting into a little bit of trouble here. Looks like he's all the way back in 11th, but certainly have the confidence that Lucky Dog Detailing out of North Carolina is going to get his car back up to the front when it's all said and done. This race here is certainly about battling adversity here, at least in the early going and midway through. A lot of these drivers being put to the test, wrapped up in multiple incidences, whether it be small or big. Some of these drivers certainly down both their quick repairs at this point of the race. As Ben said, a lot of guys, a lot of positions have changed here tonight. So this is really going to be a battle here till the end, and really anybody's race.
Yeah, this really is anybody's race. We've seen collisions in the mid-pack. We've seen first-place drivers getting taken out. You really have no idea what we're going to see next.
I think we might have a couple of cars already out of this race. It looks like Fred Houle might be one of them. I'm not getting a view of his car. It looks like Caden Tufts is out of this race as well. And
yeah, Jim Ott, who we had previously mentioned, Mark Snyder and John Higgins are both down a lap at this time.
alrighty, back up to the front as I'm sure we're getting ready to go back green here. See these guys getting some air pressure built up into their tires, some heat in there, swerving left and right. Making sure, especially that 5 car who's already spun his tires on a restart, he's most certainly not wanting to do that again.
Definitely wants to stay off the grass this time.
And here we go, green flag. Dropping the 25 car.
No!
Doing the same thing.
Again, off to the grass. He's going to lose a lot of spots, and he's got to be really careful rejoining here.
I'm telling you, that grass has grown arms. It keeps reaching out and pulling these drivers in.
Yeah, I can't say I've really ever seen that before too often. But Joshua Hetrick, unfortunately, taking a big fallback.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to have to rely on a caution to get caught back up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's lost a ton of pace. He's got nobody to draft with, nobody to race with, no rabbit car to chase. And he's going to be out there in no man's land. Chad Snyder, though, leader for that lap. But here comes David Hara on the inside in that 15 car with Casey Picala backing him up.
Yeah, David Hara really pushing that inside line. But Chad Snyder holding on pretty well on the outside. This is going back to what we were just talking about a minute ago, how fast every line on this track can be. It just depends how hard you're able to push the car.
So drivers of all skill level here tonight making mistakes out here on the track. And that one maybe being the most costly here. As we don't even see Hetrick in line there. It looks like he's just now joining the backstretch, so miles off pace here.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. But what we are seeing here that we haven't seen on other restarts is everyone is just staying single file. No group is really pulling away just yet. So we're going to see how this all boils out. We could be seeing David Hara and Chad Snyder start to work together and start to build themselves a little bit of a gap in front of the rest of the field.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth. I was just getting ready to talk about that. This seems to be a little bit of a more calmer restart with these guys pretty much being single file first on back to 10th with David Lurfano. Joshua Hetrick, unfortunately, 11th, but shows that he's still on the lead lap here. So, like I said, he might just be trying to pull for a cheap caution and try to get caught back to the back end of this pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking back into that mid-pack, we're also seeing May back there in the 00 car having some connection issues as well, and dropping off back a little bit as a result of that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there on his end.
That is John Higgins Jr., Johnny May, and Charlie Dickey battling it out for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
And back up in the front here, looks like we have Patrick McQuaid battling it out with Casey. Back and forth here for the third and fourth spot.
Oh, slide
he got
job.
hit in the back.
Slide job. He's going to be able to hang on to it, though. That might be the worst part about it, is he's going to lose a ton of pace there, but that could have been a lot scarier for that 77 car, as unintentional slide job in front of Casey Bacala. Nothing Casey could do. Gets into the back bumper of that 77 car.
Yeah, Bacala with a little bit of racing incident there. Hopefully it won't cost anybody too much, but we'll see what happens here. But we do see David Hare and Chad Snyder doing exactly what we talked about earlier, starting to grow that gap about a half second, a little bit more now with between these guys and the rest of the following group.
Yeah, lap 63 out of 100 here. I was looking in the back there with this three-man pack. This is Jason Arson, David Lurfano, who are getting or trying to make their way back to Patrick McQuaid, but this three-man group back here really off the pace with the rest of these drivers. I believe that's the 21 car of Mark Snyder. He's a lap down, but these three cars back here most certainly trying to get a run back up to Patrick McQuaid for starts and see if they can get a four-man pack going to try to get back on the back end of this lead pack.
Yeah, that's a big gap to close, though. They have a long way to go and a lot of work to do, but plenty of time left to do it. 35 laps left here today, and we'll see what they can do with it. Let's just take a quick moment and realize the absolute pace that David Hara is putting out right now. Chad Snyder has a beautiful draft on the back end of his car and still unable to catch him at all. We'll see if he's able to hold on to that lead, but he's doing a really excellent job of just flying around this racetrack today.
Yeah, good note. I'm glad you brought that up. David Hara's best time, 30.33. Chad Snyder's best time, you want to take a guess?
I believe it would be a 30.33 as well.
That's right. So David and Chad. Now, it obviously doesn't reflect what's going on right now, as Chad looks like he's going to drop back just a little bit off that pace. But those guys, for a while there, most certainly keeping pace with one another.
Yeah, and we see David Hara passing the first lap car here. So we're going to start to see some lap traffic playing a role here if we stay under green.
Yeah, that 19 car of John Higgins Jr. is not for position. He is a lap down. So that 41 car behind him is your second place driver. He's got Chad Snyder behind him. They're going to try to work around this 19. I would assume the 19 would move up, but I mean, he is keeping pace. So
yeah, I mean, take advantage of the draft while you got it. That's what I'd be doing if I was Casey.
Absolutely, and it looks like that is exactly what they're doing, and it is paying off as that 19 car is pulling the 41 closer to David Hara. Without that, David was going to have a really nice lead there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's playing a major factor here. We'll see if Casey can finish closing that gap and safely get around John Jr. Before he takes a chance at David Hara's top spot. And it looks like he is now about to make that move around John Jr. As they go side by side, John doesn't want to give up that spot so easily. And it seems like that may be costing Casey Bacala a little bit of time here. He's a half second back now. I think battling it out with John Jr. there side by side, he may not have been able to take his optimal line, whereas David Hara is just out in front and driving as easily as he can.
Yeah, and that got a little scary there. They almost grouped up. It looked like there might have been some collision there, but those guys being able to avoid that with the way tonight has gone, anytime I see them bunch up, I get a little bit nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much, I just want to see them drive single file and make some overtakes at this point. I think everybody that's watching wants to see some green flag racing, and it looks like they're finally going to be able to get that under their belt. Knock on wood.
Yeah, and we, towards the middle of this race, we most certainly did, and we had some really good racing. Since then, we've had some wonky incidences here, some drivers getting into the grass on restart, spinning tires, but for the most part, it got a little ugly there at the beginning, and they were able to kind of regroup as a whole and be able to start putting on this show here as we see single file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars going into turn 3 right here. That's Tyrone Yo Jr. in the 0-2, still maintaining P5. Larry Garnes on the outside in that 20 car is a lap or more down, so this is not for position. So that 0-2 car of Tyrone just kind of hanging out back there in P5 as he's got a 2.5-second lead over Charlie Dickey.
Yeah, and the other car to watch here is Chad Snyder. We're going to see if he can make a move. Just as I say that, the number 41 car falls off a pace a little bit as well, giving David Hara more of a lead back up to the half-second gap and growing above the rest of the field.
That's Casey Bacala on the inside, Chad Snyder on the outside. He hits the wall. That's going to lose a couple of tenths there as the 77 had to lift as well to avoid taking out that bumper of Chad. So any kind of real run that they were getting ready to make is going to have to wait. As we see Casey really not getting the run to be able to pass that that lapped car of John Higgins. So
yeah, John Higgins staying right with the leaders here, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so as you were saying, David out to a pretty comfortable lead.
Oh, and we are going under another yellow flag here.
Looks like Charlie Dickey might be involved once again on this one as he goes off track. I think that might just be a single car incident there. Let's go back and take an iRacing rewind here. Make sure nobody else was involved. I don't think they were. He was kind of all by himself here, but let's go back and take a look. Yeah, that's Dickey just getting loose there. Tried to save it the best he could. Once he got onto the wall, did a pretty okay job of it, but then came back up. Now, if he doesn't have any quick repairs, his night might be done. Those were two pretty good licks there, Ben, on that wall.
Yeah, after his previous incident, it's not looking so great for him at this point. He may still have that one quick repair left, but that car's not going to have the pace that it used to have in it after those damages that it just took.
So we'll stay on board with Charlie Dickey, see if he does have a quick repair left. Again, it only takes about a second, so you'll see his car have a shiny new paint job after this. You see that white on his car. Doesn't look white anymore, does it?
No, it does not. It is not the color that it was originally painted, and we are seeing the leaders pit here as well. Possibly for the last time tonight.
It looks like no quick repairs left for that 37 car. So unfortunately, he's going to have to ride it out. Now, David Lurfano, interesting enough, a driver that is choosing to stay out. I think all the drivers in front of him are all lapped cars. So David Lurfano not pitting. He's going to be your new race leader once we get done with these pit stops.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit of a risky move, especially on this track. Tires really are king. It really depends how hard you can push in those corners because, like I was saying earlier, with fresh tires, you can basically push all out, and that can be a big gap on somebody that's going to have to lift a lot or somebody that may even have to brake coming into some of these turns.
Now, the good news for David Lurfano is David Hara in that blue-gray plastic fabrication 15 car is going to be starting up there with him. Now we see David Lurfano come down pit road, so I'm not too sure what that was about, Ben, because he was on lead lap. He could have came down with the leaders.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about either. I'm not sure if he didn't think anybody else was going to pit, so he just wasn't in position for it, but yeah, he's going to take his pit now, and should be right back in there.
Unless, of course, I don't know if in some of my other leagues, you do get points for leading a lap under caution. You get your bonus points. So I wonder if that's what David Lurfano was doing.
Yeah, that could play a factor.
Because he's been kind of hanging out in the back lately here, Ben. Maybe he just figured, hey, I don't have the pace to win this race or maybe even get a podium, so I'm going to stay out. I'm going to get some points for leading a lap at Atlanta, and then we'll just move on and go from there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Get all the points you can get. Even if you have to stay out with a broken car just to finish as many laps as possible, get the best finish you can. It's better than being at the back.
Yeah, so we see the damaged car of Charlie Dickey here in that 37, but he is going to be on lead lap. Him and Mark Snyder, 10th and 11th. It doesn't go to our lapped cars until P12 with Larry Garnes. We're just going to have to see how that damage plays out. We talked about it before, Ben. You can run Atlanta with a little bit of damage here. It's not a super speedway, but all the aerodynamics matter in racing.
Yeah, and that car's looking a little bit like a golf ball right now, so he may be having a little bit of trouble getting that car around as fast as he'd like to.
That's not a bad idea. Faded TV golf balls.
There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start marketing those here. Yeah, new merch. Screw the T-shirts. Let's go straight into the golf balls. Alrighty, as we get these guys back to 2 wide, we see the drivers getting ready to go green. That 54 car of Jason Arson. Looks like he's going to be in 4th there on the outside of Chad Snyder, so he's quietly had a good run here as of late. Of course, he was one of those cars back with David Lurfano way off pace, so I'm not too sure. I'm wondering if those guys got into something that didn't cause a caution, because those guys were miles off pace from David and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, there might have been something we missed there, and they're just they're running down on power a little bit, so they're just grouping up together, getting around the track as quick as they possibly can, but not quick enough.
Yeah, and back to green, David Hara. We've seen this with all the pole sitters. A nice jump for him as he goes down into turn 1. It's going to be Casey Bacala 2, Chad Snyder, Jason Arson 3 and 4 side by side coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch.
Yep, not surprisingly, a nice big lead for David Hara, and let's see what Casey Bacala can do to close that up.
Patrick McQuaid and that 77 getting eerily close to the grass. I thought I was going to reach out and grab him, but he was able to get through there without any issues.
Careful.
Yeah.
That grass will get you tonight.
Yeah. David Hara finishing P3 at Daytona 2 weeks ago. Another decent finish last week, but I think he's looking for his first win of the season.
And we are seeing Jason Arson start to make a little bit of move on Casey Bacala on the outside. Again, riding that high line, which is very quick, and it looks like he might be taking second place right now as we speak.
Yeah, good job by that 54 Mountain Dew car. Again, had a little bit of a quiet stretch there. Was able to take advantage of that caution and get bunched back up with these drivers. It does look like he is able to maintain some relative pace there as we see Casey and Patrick McQuaid start pulling away from that, though, on the inside, and now they're trying to run down race leader David Hara.
Yeah, Casey looks like he came out of that corner with a lot of speed, closed the gap there on David Hara, got all the way down to a 1/10 of a second, and then right back off pace again. So whatever line David's running right now, it's working really well for him.
Yeah, and speaking of David's running a good line, Lurfano back up to 5th on the inside of Jason Arson. It looks like Tyrone Yo Jr. going to stay on the inside as well and help push that 8 car as he tries making his way back for the first time tonight after being up front for a little while. Having a bit of bad luck at Atlanta, but it looks like he is now finally ready to make his charge back up to the front with 17 laps to go. Most certainly, though, not wanting to let David Hera do what he did last green flag, which was simply just pull away from everybody out here on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's really not doing that so far. He hasn't gotten too much of a lead over those next cars. They're sticking right with him. They're all grouped up so they can work together and try to catch him. So we'll see if David Hera can keep putting down this ridiculous pace that he's running. But I don't know. Time might be running out for him.
Hetrick back up, trying to make a run. Takes P3 away from Casey Pacala. Those guys with the close encounter as Hetrick kind of slid up to the front there. And here's a run from the 25.
Yeah, and remember how fast that 25 car has been all night. When he wants to go, he absolutely can push that car to the limit. And so I think we'll see him get right in line with those top two cars, turn it into a top three, and we'll see if he's going to make a move on Patrick McQuaid here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all just coming off of pit stops under that last caution. So Hetrick certainly with a clean car and some clean tires. And you're right. He did show some phenomenal speed when he had the lead earlier into the race. I'm just not so sure David's going to get caught here. I mean, I know Patrick McQuaid's kind of giving him a run on the back of his bumper, but until I see him on the side of that 15, I think David's still in complete control of this race. But here we go, out of the backstretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but all it's going to take is one very, very small mistake from David Hera. And I'm talking about the most minuscule mistake of just not hitting the gas at the right time by milliseconds could cost him this entire race. That's how close Patrick McQuaid is to the back of them.
Yeah, we see a little bit of blocking, a little bit of defensive driving from David Hera. He knows Patrick McQuaid's getting a really good run off corner exit. He did it on the last backstretch, most certainly on that front stretch that time around. It looked like McQuaid was actually going to get a run to be able to pass David, but David doing a phenomenal job right now of that defensive driving and throwing some really clean blocks out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's making it look making it look natural right now. Just holding on to that lead comfortably, not letting Patrick McQuaid phase him. And we'll see. Patrick McQuaid's going to keep badgering him, keep holding his bumper as best as he can, and we'll see if David Hera can hold on.
Oh, boy, we're 3 wide almost. Yeah, 3 wide going into turn 3. Hey, John Higgins Jr. getting the lucky dog. I didn't notice that last time. You said it. He had a really good pace when he was racing with the leaders last time.
Yeah, John Jr. getting right up there to P4. So that lucky dog doing him big favors as he's worked his way back all the way through the pack and P4. But right now we're seeing a little bit of what we expected. David Hera, Patrick McQuaid, Joshua Hetrick pulling away from the rest of the racers here, getting a good lap for themselves. Looks like just about 0.6 of a second, and they're gonna have their own race of their. They're gonna have the race of their own here as long as it stays under green flag racing.
Yeah, we saw this with David earlier in the green flag run. We saw this with Joshua Hetrick way back earlier in the race when he had the lead. These 3 drivers right here having just phenomenal speed here at Atlanta and really a class of their own so far, and they're showing it here again as Jason Arson back in 4th as a half second off of these top 3 drivers.
Yeah, and Jason Arson closing that gap to Joshua Hetrick here. So maybe it won't just be those 3 drivers after all. He is flying up to the back of Joshua Hetrick at this point and might even be going for a move here.
Yeah, onto the backstretch. That's the 54 Mountain Dew coming onto the inside of the 25 car of Joshua Hetrick down into turn 3. These guys race side by side. Coming out of turn 4. Who's it going to be? Onto the front stretch. This is the race for 3rd between the 25 and the 54, and it looks like Jason on the front stretch going to come across P3. He's going to check up high, diving down into turn 1.
What a fantastic pass there by Jason. I mean, just giving the car everything he possibly could, because Joshua Hetrick was riding that high line as fast as he could as well and still able to hold on to it.
So just as we thought, the top 3 drivers were going to run away with this. That second group of 3 drivers, at the time, Jason Arson, John Higgins Jr. and Casey Bacala really closing the gap as we see Joshua Hetrick really falling off pace here since getting past 6 laps to go.
Yeah, Joshua's struggling, but on the other side of the things, we have Patrick McQuaid, who seems to be increasing his pace here. He's getting closer and closer to David Hara. As a matter of fact, all 3 of these guys very close. This could be anybody's race.
Yeah, and these guys being able to maintain down by that white line tells me they still have plenty of grip on their car. Here comes the 77 right on the back bumper of David Hara. But you definitely don't want to make a move too soon either and get caught being passed on the last lap. But with 5 laps to go, we might start seeing some big moves by these top 6 drivers.
Yeah, well, what I was just thinking for Patrick McQuaid there as he falls back to 3rd and possibly even 4th was his plan was to get a good run on the straight, taking advantage of that draft, and then make the pass going into the final lap here. But it looks like he's going to fall off the top pace a little bit, so he's going to have to work his way back up to try to execute that move.
Yeah, and again, I just want to echo my statements from a few moments ago. Some phenomenal defensive driving from David Hara. He's going to have to do it all over again, though, as we see Jason Arson on the back bumper of that 15.
Yeah, Jason Arson might now be moving into that same idea that Patrick McQuaid had. Actually, no, he's just going to go for it right here. And right in the first place as he crosses the line, Jason Arson, your new race leader.
Yeah, down into turn 1, though. David not going away cheap. He's on the inside line. He's going to try to maintain pace coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. But it does look like that 54 does clear. Here comes the outside line. Jason Arson, David Hara, Joshua Hetrick back into the mix. 2 laps to go this time around.
Oh, the 54 car getting a little loose up front, but able to save it.
Yeah, but costing him some big time. As he looks like Joshua Hetrick, the big winner of that.
Wow. What a run by Joshua Hetrick up that inside, but once again, he's going to be taken. Oh, and we got some. Oh, no, we have a crash right up front.
Oh, and it's a big one. It's a big one. Joshua Hetrick's going to make it through. David Hara caught. Jason Arson caught in that. I can't believe Hetrick made it through there. Tyrone Yo Jr. had a solid top 5, top 6. He's involved in that. However, he's going to have a quick repair left for sure. David Hara, I hope, as you can see the smoke coming out, and it looks like he is pissed off as he's driving up to the front as fast as he can.
Oh, I'd be mad if I was David Hara too right now. That was very unfortunate. Looked like, looks like the leader just got a little bit loose, and somehow, was it Joshua Hetrick that got through that unscathed?
Yes, it was. Now, if we can go back. Well, we saw Hetrick blinking a little bit, and I'm not going to lie, I think that might have just saved him a lot. Let's use our iRacing rewind here, and let's look at this from a couple of different angles. I'm going to pause it right there. Let's get a different angle from this because this is a very important part or a very important crash right here. So I want to make sure we're definitely taking a couple of angles here. And we'll take a look at the chase cam from David Hara. You see the 54 and David racing real close there, getting a side draft going. Out of turn 2, it looks like, yeah, he just got onto that. He got onto that right quarter panel of Joshua Hetrick is what it was. Hetrick got loose, like you called it. David Hara really had nowhere to go. Gets into the left quarter panel of that. Excuse me. Josh, because of his positioning, not getting turned around, was able to just keep moving forward. But unfortunately, after hitting that left quarter panel, it pushed David down to that inside line, making contact with Jason Arson. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, unbelievably unfortunate for David Hara, but luckily he does have a quick repair, so he is back out on the track already. He's ready to go for the green-white checkered finish. So we'll see if he's able to make back some positions here.
Yeah, but we'll see. It's going to be a green-white checkered, and That's not a lot of time here at Atlanta to get a meaty run here. It looks like the 41 car of Casey Bacala is going to be starting on the inside of row 1. John Higgins Jr., who was a lap down for the majority of this race, was able to get the lucky dog. Now, he's got no rear end on that car, but nonetheless going to be starting P2. We'll see if he's able to maintain that. I don't think he will. We have David Lurfano III ready to strike. Joshua Hetrick in 4th, I believe. So he'll be on the outside, row 2. And then we'll have Patrick McQuaid, David Hara, 5-6.
So, Faded, as we get up to this green-white checkered, who is your driver to watch here?
My driver to watch is always going to be David Lurfano. I've talked about it a little bit through this race. I talked about it last week, and I've talked to him about it off stream. He'll hang out. He'll hang out up front if he's got the pace early on. He'll hang out in the back if he doesn't have the pace early on. But when it comes time to drop that white and to drop that checkered, that number 8 car for Hillbilly Motorsports is always, always, always in the mix to win a race.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a really good shot at taking home this one because we know he has so much pace in that car anytime he wants it on tap. But we got a lot of good drivers up front here. Don't forget about Joshua Hetrick right behind him. Also could go a really good run for the front, and we will see what happens here. Casey Bacala is still going to be the leader coming off starting the green-white checkered.
Yeah, and I will say Joshua Hetrick with a lot of pace. The only thing that concerns me is that 19 car in front of him. He's a little banged up. As you see, he doesn't even have a rear end on that car anymore. He was pretty fast when he had a clean car. But if I'm starting behind that, if I'm David Lurfano, I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting pretty good. I think that 19 car might actually hold up Joshua Hetrick just enough to let that 41 and that 8 car get off to a pretty strong lead.
Yeah, it's very possible. We'll see how much that damage costs him off of the start. It may actually not play that much of a role until he's up to speed. So we'll see what kind of moves can be made in that time. But I do not think that the weight-saving technique he's going for tonight is going to work out for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to hit the old scale after the race. You're going to have to see the NASCAR officials and weigh his car there. All right, I think this is the green flag. We'll see if that pace car decides to come off. I think he will. Yes, he does. So, the 41 car going to be taking the restart. And he looks like he slips his tires, but it looked like maybe David Lurfano did too. And there's the 19 car. Joshua Hetrick happened to get out of line, but he's going to be able to do it cleanly. And Casey Bacala with a really good restart there. I think David Lurfano might have spun just a little bit. Nothing serious, but we see that 15 car on the backstretch and that 77. And as you said, Joshua Hetrick.
Yeah, Joshua really showing some pace on the outside line there.
David Lurfano looks like he's way off pace. The 77 car moved him up a little bit, and we're 3 wide going into turn 1. And there is David Hara rebounding after getting wrecked out onto the inside, coming out of turn 2, onto the backstretch. Going to be your race leader on the final lap.
Unbelievable for David Hara. What a race he is having tonight.
Into turn 3, out of turn 4, the final turn at Atlanta. It's going to be the 15 car of David Hara. That adversary that we talked about, taking the checkered flag for Hillbilly Motorsports. Joshua Hetrick 2nd, Patrick McQuaid 3rd, Tyrone Yo Jr. with a 4th place finish.
Wow, what an unbelievable race, Faded. What a win for David Hara. Talk about not giving up. Talk about just having incredible pace in the car. What a phenomenal job by him today.
I'm really, really surprised that David Hara, I mean, he had such a huge, huge run. Let's go back and take a look right here with David Hara as he makes his way back up to the front. He started P5, P6, I think, on that restart.
I believe so, yeah.
He takes it 3 wide through turn 1. Joshua Hetrick, Casey Bacala in the mix, but he would not be denied.
No, he had that inside line, and he had all of the speed on his side. Nobody was even going to be close to catching him. He just flew by those leaders.
Tyrone looking really good there. He's inside the top 5. I had mentioned him in the earlier goings, the run that he's had. Chad Snyder going to finish P6. David Lurfano, it just looked like something there at the end that he just didn't have Atlanta figured out. But I don't think he's too worried about it. I think he's going to be able to bounce back just fine.
Yeah, still a top 10 finish for him. Not a bad showing tonight at all.
And I apologize to Hera. We did miss out a little bit of his celebration, but I wanted to go back and just capture that speed that he had on that restart because he was, like I said, a man that would not be denied. But luckily, we still caught some celebrations there. We will certainly get these guys in for race interviews as he's going to park right there at that start-finish line, probably take a snapshot there.
As he should. Well deserved.
First and foremost, we're going to pull in third-place driver Patrick McQuaid in that 77 Muffler Man car. Patrick, you have a copy? Patrick McQuaid, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what a phenomenal finish. A really good race. There was a big group of you guys tonight. I mean, we could have picked 6 different winners, really, on who had a chance to win this race. You had a fast car all night long. Talk to us a little bit about your experience at Atlanta and taking home P3.
Yeah, that was exciting for sure. That was just a wreck that didn't happen. But it was fun. I mean, there's really not much to these cars yet. But once you got a few laps on the tires, it became a little slick like Hotlanta. But it's always fun.
Well, congratulations on P3. And I think we're off next week before hitting a road course at Road America. So probably best to make Atlanta. Try to get everything out of this race. So congratulations on P3, and we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to let you do this interview with who I would assume might be your driver of the night, finishing second place, Joshua Hetrick.
Yeah, Joshua, do you have a copy for me?
Hey, I got you guys.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, what a sensational race for you tonight. Just take us through it, how you dealt with the cautions and keeping your head straight.
It was a wild one. These cars are a handful. This pack racing is not one of my favorites, but we're starting to learn her. We got to give a shout out to Hillbilly for giving me a little bit of room there after I kind of squeezed him on that second to last one. I had a run, took that thing 3 wide, and she didn't stick as well as I wanted her to.
Yeah, but you still did a great job to hold on and take home that P2 tonight. How important is that podium for you?
It feels good to get a podium. 4th place last week. I felt things were on the up and up. Putting the pole again 2 weeks in a row. I know I've got the speed, and being able to hang out there and just get through the mess makes it an easy night.
Yeah, definitely a fast night for you. As you just said, 2 poles in a row as we get right into the middle of the season. Now we have an off week before going into the road course. I just told Patrick McQuaid, all you guys that maybe not fare well at road courses really needed to make sure you got everything out of Atlanta. You almost did get everything out of Atlanta, but I don't think anybody was stopping that 15 car. Nonetheless, a nice P2 finish for you, Joshua. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Joshua.
Thanks.
All right, next up, and I think, I'm almost positive, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be David Hera's first All-American Racing League win. David, is that true?
That is a fact. Yes, sir. Hopefully there's many more to come. But, yeah, it's the first one. That feels great.
Many more to come here. Now, you had to fight a lot of adversity. I talked about that about 3/4 of the way through the race. I mean, everybody was making mistakes out there tonight, not just maybe the rookies here at AARL. There were some veteran drivers getting caught up into the grass, spinning tires on restarts. It kind of seemed like everybody was just kind of having an off night. And I was talking to Ben, and I said, looking back, this is going to be the race of adversity and who can really sit there and toughen it out. And it looked like when you had the lead, you could drive miles away from everybody else. And we thought that that's what you were going to do until that last caution came out. You got involved in a wreck. Obviously, you got a nice run off of turn 2. There was really nowhere for you to go. Hetrick, I think, started to lose it a little bit. He was able to save it, but because of that, lost just enough time for you to get into the left corner panel of him, causing a big wreck. And you started that restart, I think P5, P6, somewhere around there.
Yeah, P6.
Yeah, P6. And I said it. I said, I don't know if he can make it through that traffic, even with the pace that he's had all night. And there you were. We took a look at the replay on the second to last lap. You just had jets coming out of the back of that 15 car. Talk to us a little bit about this race at Atlanta, what you had to go through to get back up to the front. And again, congratulations. You've been with these guys for a while. You take home your first win with All-American Racing League.
Yeah, man, this is a tough racetrack here at Atlanta with the tire fall off and these next-gen cars. It's kind of a new thing for us, but we did a lot of practice. We did a lot of practice for this race. And, man, this car, it felt good today. The blue-gray plastic fabrication Chevrolet was really fast. And I had been working on the long run for this particular race. And honestly, I wanted to run it to the end of the 40 laps there early on, just because from lap 30 on in a run, my car would pick back up again. But yeah, it came down to it. When we came down to that last caution, right before that, I'm thinking, man, I'm leading this thing, and these guys are I think it was Jason and the 77 of Patrick. Those guys were they were all over me. And I was like, no, this is just not going to happen. And then when the 25 got by, I think he got up. He said he kind of got almost into the wall a little. And when he did, there was nothing I could do. And that wadded us up. Restarted sixth. And I told the guys, I said, I'm coming back through there, and I apologize to you in advance. But fortunately, nothing bad happened there. We took them 3 wide in the tri-oval and brought home the victory, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And that run at the end there was just sensational off the restarter. You watch the replay back later after the race, you're going to see just how absolutely quick you are, just flying past everybody, and nobody had a chance behind you. You had this one in the bag.
Man, that was so much fun. I think my motor just blew. But that was so much fun. And, I'd like to think blue-gray plastic fabrication Chevrolet. Blue-gray plastic fab. I'd like to think All-American Racing League. I'd like to think Faded TV. I'd like to think Truckers Feed America and Top Sell Trucking. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for creating a legend. And, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, as we see a lot of excitement, deservingly so. I believe we referenced you to the man that just wouldn't be denied. And you pretty much took us through that race, took us through your mind. Very, very good there. And I'm glad that you were able to share that with us. Obviously, a lot of passion goes into this league. There's a lot of passion with you and this league. I know the viewers at home don't really know this, but David is a guy that does so many things behind the scenes here at All-American Racing League. He got me and helped me grow as a broadcaster. He helps everybody out on the admin side of things. Just overall, really good dude. David, I'm so proud to see that 15 car in victory lane tonight with the blue-gray plasticfab.com logo on the side, the Lucky Dog detailing on the side. Congratulations on your first win here. Take a week off and maybe put a lap together at Road America.
Yeah, no, so we do a drop week here, and I've been looking at that road course, but we have a week off. I'm going to get in here and learn it a little bit, try to get out of there with a win as well. Was third last week, third the week before at Daytona. And, if you keep finishing in the top 3, eventually we were going to bring one of these home, and finally we did, man.
All right, David, we're going to let you go and celebrate with your, with everybody up there in that NASCAR voice chat, your teammate, David Lurfano. Hetrick had a really good race car tonight. I'm sure you guys have a lot to talk about. Congratulations, David, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations, David, on the win.
Yep, thanks.
All right, Ben, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I wasn't too sure if you had something left there, but we'll let him go and enjoy his things. As we do every week up here in the broadcast booth, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the race?
I mean, what a sensational and exciting race to watch. I mean, you really could not ask for more than that. I mean, we had a lot of cautions, which tended to slow down the race a little bit, but the cautions that did happen, a lot of them were at the front, and we saw a lot of lead changes. We saw a lot of different guys come into that top 5, but then we saw David Hara just leading the race. He finally got taken out, and then the redemption arc story at the end as he just flies back up to win it. I mean, there's not much more you can ask for from a race than that.
Yeah, hats off to Casey Pacala. He finished 5 spots from his 10th starting position to take home a top 5. Tyrone Yo Jr. with maybe his best finish in these Cup cars in these series. He moved up 7 spots to finish P4, so good points night for Tyrone Yo Jr. Patrick McQuaid, our big mover of the night, up 11 spots. He started outside the top 10. He takes home a podium. Joshua Hetrick, pole sitter, a good run, looked fast all night long. Unfortunately, the deck didn't go his way, but he was still very excited with the P2. You could hear the emotion out of David with getting his win. Ben, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I've been talking about it heavy these last couple of weeks. Sim racing, a hobby doesn't even begin to explain the amount of time and the amount of emotions that go into our hobby.
Yeah, it's an incredible amount of work, and you can tell the incredible amount of work that these guys have put in. To get to the level that they're driving at, you have to put in hours and hours, and I mean hundreds of hours, probably even thousands of hours into iRacing to get as good as these guys are. I know how hard it is for me putting in hours just to try to get better, and I'm nowhere close to these guys. So yeah, you know, it's a bit of a lifestyle. You really have to put the time in if you want to be the best.
For my buddy and co-caster Ben Parisi, I'm Faded GG. We thank you guys tuning in here on twitch.com/FadedTV. We're going to be a week off next week with these guys, but we have a lot of stuff going on here, American Racing League. Hats off to you guys at home. Hats off to Ben. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next time.